Hey everybody, today I just wanted to do a quick little video on creating custom shortcut menus for controls and indicators. So for those of you who don't know what a shortcut menu is, this is basically going to be if I right click on this, right, I get all these different options here of stuff that can do. And also I'll show you some of that stuff is a little different as this is running. So let's just add an event structure. And I'm just going to add one case to this, that is when I click the X that it stops execution. Sweet. So yeah, so now as I run this, if I right click, right, this is my kind of runtime shortcut menu. So I have certain options. I can copy data, I can clear the chart, I can kind of change some of this stuff that's visible, auto scaling, stuff like that. And some of these cool things for like exporting data and stuff can be really helpful. But sometimes we don't want all of those options to be visible, and sometimes we want to add custom additional options to those. So we can actually do that in LabVIEW. So if I right click on this when it's not running and go to advanced, there is this runtime shortcut menu option. So you have two options. You can either just disable it entirely, meaning that it won't show up anything, or I can go edit the current. And this is going to pull up this little dialog, which is going to show me the current, shortcut menu, which is what I saw when I pulled that up earlier. If I want to customize that, I can just go here and switch to custom. And now I can basically define my own custom shortcuts here. So if I want to use some of the stuff that was in there originally, I just need to go down to application item, and I can see all of the stuff that ships with this control originally. So if I still want people to be able to export to data, I can add that, or export data to Excel. And maybe I still want people to be able to export an image, right? I can add those. So now there's just those two options instead of all of those options that were there before. I also can go in and add another case, and I can add a separator. So this will basically create a line that looks like that in my shortcut menu. And let's actually go back. So yeah, let's go just from scratch. So let's go here. I'm going to actually just create a item and call it exports. And then in there, I can basically indent this item, and it works like a tree. So then I can go add specific types of items. So I can go add a export to Excel, and let's create another that is this export image. So I've got my exports option. Now let's go create a separator after that. And then I can add as many as I want, right? There's really no limitation to how much you want to add here. But you can also use this user items field. So here I can create kind of custom stuff, custom user items. So I have an item name field and an item tag. So the name is going to be what shows up here. The tag I'm going to show you in just a sec is something that you can read from your event structure. So here I can create, kind of custom stuff. So maybe I could add a dialogues, right? And then let's add a maybe about data that'll give you like a dialogue about that data. Or something like that. And I can add as many as I want. I can add as many custom items here, being parents or children of different things. And when I'm all done, I can just go click File and click Save. And you're going to get this little pop-up that says, you can either save it with the control, meaning that there's not going to be a file anywhere that contains this new menu you've created. It's just going to be saved in the control itself. Which is actually what I find most useful a lot of the time, is just to save that like that, because then the control is configured. I don't need to necessarily be linked to a .rtm file, but if you want to, you can save it as a file, and then you can just load that file automatically. But let's just do save with control. So now when I run this VI and I right click on it, I have my exports option. You can see my separator there is that line. And then I've got my dialogues there. So let's look at how you can set up your code. Oh, and also, sorry, FYI, the application items, you don't need to do any programming. They know what to do automatically, right? So I go click export image, it automatically launches that method. I don't need to do any programming for those items. Now for those user items though, there's no defined behavior. So I'm going to go to my event structure, add an event case, and select my waveform chart. So now I'm going to go to shortcut menu. So there's a few different options, right? You can trigger events to when the shortcut menu gets activated or dismissed. And then you also can link to different shortcut menu selections. So in our case, we want to create an event structure for the user shortcut menu selections. So you can see here, it's going to pass out a few different items. The one I am most interested in is just this item tag, which is basically a string with that item tag that we defined. So I'm just going to run this, and let's go to our user item and click about data. So you can see it outputs that about data tag. So now in my code here, I could have maybe a case structure, or maybe I could have this go straight into like some sort of queued message architecture, or trigger some sort of other event to do something specific, right? So, it's up to you really what you want to do with that, but that would be how you can tell which one was actually pressed. Out of all of those, you could have dozens of different options of user items that you've configured. That item tag is how you can actually read which one was selected, so you know what to do with it. But yeah, and then you can kind of do whatever you want to do, right? You can create custom processing, maybe custom ways to export data, custom ways to configure your charts and graphs, and this works with any type of control as well, not just graphs. You can do this with numerics. You can do this with strings, file controls, etc. So you can do it with whatever you want. But that way you can really enhance how users interact with your front panel objects by removing stuff that maybe they don't ever need to mess with, right? So like the original on this chart, right, had options for setting X and Y to auto scale. Well, maybe you never want your users to actually ever be changing those, so you can just remove them entirely, right? So it's not even an option for the user. So yeah, that way you can kind of hide the stuff they don't ever need to mess with, and you can add additional functionality that you define. So yeah, that would be creating custom runtime shortcut menus for front panel controls. Thanks for watching.
Canon Controls is your gateway to mastering LabVIEW. Dive into programming for data acquisition, industrial communications, and manufacturing automation. Explore how to enhance your projects with cybersecurity best practices. Join the journey to elevate your skills and secure your systems with every episode.